So I lived in Haiti right after college. Spent 2 years there. Matthew and I both were there working from 2009 through 2011. Went there as a missionary with the Wesleyan Church, and so went through Global Partners. The goal of going was initially to teach English, and so there was a hope of building an English-speaking university on the island of La Gonave, and so my goal was to play a small part in that by seeing what it would take to bring students up to full level of competency so they could.
So tell us a bit about the earthquake, 2010. Okay, we remember it from news cycles here, but just tell us a bit. You're there, you're a missionary, and this massive earthquake hits. Just put us in that moment. What was that like? How did that shape? What was happening? Tell us. I don't think we can comprehend what's happening nationally, and I'd love for you to paint a picture of that for us.
Yeah. So, with our initial experience, we could feel it on La Gonave. What we experienced there was more like a 4.0, whereas what they had in Port-au-Prince would have been a 7.0. So, on the Richter scale, it's like times 1,000 for each point that you go up. So it's significantly stronger in Port-au-Prince than what we felt. La Gonave, because it's such a small, remote island, most people have a close tie to Port-au-Prince, because Port-au-Prince is where you get all your schooling. Port-au-Prince is where all the supplies come from. So even kids as young as middle school can be sent to Port-au-Prince to go to schooling. And so all of our friends in La Gonave had family in Port-au-Prince. And so for us, the effects of that were huge.
I must have met you somewhere in that process, or maybe just after, and I remember getting a prayer request for you and praying specifically for you as you tried to process all that. I think it was after the fact. Mm-hmm. So what did it do to you? I mean, what did it do to your walk with God? Did you experience loss? I mean, what did it do to your soul?
Yeah, it's a good question, because honestly, I don't think I understood it in the moment, even all that was happening, because it's really strange to be a stranger, to be a foreigner in a community that's going through such grief. It almost feels like, how can I cry or even be sad when I can go home to a place where everything's good? And these people who are living here lost 17 family members. Like, this doesn't change, this doesn't go away. And so for me, I almost didn't feel permission to grieve. But I did. I mean, I lost 3 friends. My friend, Marilyn, she became my best friend quickly in Haiti. She was the one that, helped me set up a bank account, the one that just helped me figure out everything that I needed to learn in Haiti, and, was a great friend. She would come over to my house, spend the night, and make food, all that. And so I got pretty close with her whole family. Her brother became my Creole tutor, and so he and I met 2 or 3 times a week for an entire summer when he was home from school. Her sister, Kitleen, super outgoing, beautiful, bubbly girl, and she would come over because she loved to use Facebook at my house, and so we had free internet all night, so she would stay up all night at my house and use the internet. And then her sister Marilyn was actually Marilyn's twin, and she was in the prayer group that we were part of, and so I met with her a few times over the summer and was really looking forward. She was graduating, so I was looking forward to her moving home and getting closer with her, because I'd heard a lot about her through Marilyn. And so when the earthquake happened, the 3 of them were in college in Port-au-Prince, and their house, collapsed, the house that they were living in, and so all 3 of them were gone, which was huge for us, just because that was a big connection. And then the months that followed were just talking with Marilyn and trying to sort that out. As far as soul and long-term stuff, when you...
Marilyn is who?
Oh, so Marilyn is one of my best friends in Haiti.
Yes, she's one of your best friends. Okay, so she was the mother of those 3, or the sister? Sister of those 3.
Sister, okay, yeah. So there's Marilyn. There's actually 6 kids in the family to start.
Okay.
Marilyn, 3 siblings that are close to her age, and 2 younger girls.
Okay, and you were buds with the 3 siblings of Marilyn.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Because the 4 of us would have all been ages 19 to 25. So just a good a good friend.
All right, so now you're in Haiti, and you've just lost 3 of your closest friends. Is that a good way to say that?
Yeah.
While in Haiti.
Right.
So you were getting ready to tell me what it did to your soul?
Yeah, I mean, I think the question that kept coming up, looking at those 3 specifically, and then zooming out and knowing the bigger picture of how much loss there was. The question was, God, how are you good? How is this good?
Yeah.
I don't think there's any explaining away something like that. I don't think you can reason that away. I don't think you can call it punishment. None of it added up as far as trying to make sense of who God was in that moment. And so, for me, that was a decision point, a point of, do I really believe God is good, regardless of circumstance? And so, circumstance wasn't saying he was good.
Yeah.
But I watched my friend Marlene and I watched her mom in the middle of that loss declare God's faithfulness. Even just asking them, how are you? Said, God is good. We can't let go of him.
So when you went back, you had the opportunity to meet with your friend?
Yeah, well, so when we went back, I had the chance to go in and see tons of people that we actually worked with and lived with. We went back specifically and spent the whole week where Matt and I lived. And so it was our community. I mean, it was the people that we went to church with, people that we worked with, and all over the place we were greeting people. And even, my friend Marlene, she lives in the States now, but I had the chance to talk to both her parents while I was there, which was just a gift, to see her mom and dad and tell them hi, tell them I remember their kids, tell them I've seen their daughter. Just really, really a cool experience there.
And what about, what was the night when your small group or part of the Alive team would all gather together and got to hear some more of this story and details? And tell us about what happened in that night.
So the one night we decided as a team that we would do English lessons with some of the people that were living on the mission station. And one of the people that was invited to those conversations was my friend Marlene's mom, Madame Felician. And Madame Felician she's like my Haitian mom. I mean, she's the one that brought me food and that would tell me to drink V8 if I was sick. And I'm just a beautiful lady. And in the middle of that conversation, it turned out she really didn't want to speak English very much. And so the conversation needed a translator. And so I ended up kind of filling that role and helping translate for the team. And we started out just sharing a little bit of our stories, and someone had posed the question to her, how did she come to faith? And so we asked her, we asked Mari, who was the other girl, the other Haitian worker that was there in that conversation. We talked with both of them about their stories of faith, and then they turned the question back on us. And so we were all sharing that as well. And after a few people had shared, Madame Felician said, hey, I have another testimony. And I knew as soon as she said, I have another testimony, that what that testimony was. I looked across the room and got eye contact with Matthew because he was in the room too, and he gave me this look like, I know it's coming. And I kind of...
You're translating all this.
Yeah, I'm translating all this, and I mean, no one else in the room realizes that I'm about to bawl, but I do. And so kind of take a deep breath and say, okay, I'm gonna do this. This is gonna happen. I'm gonna tell her story. And so she starts in talking about, how she started out with 6 kids and how in the earthquake she lost 3 of them. And I think when she got to that point in the story, I just told the team those were my friends. And then continued translating as she went on and shared how, when she lost her 3 kids, she said, I thought I would die, or I thought I would go crazy. And she said, but I didn't. She said, God kept me. Those are her words, God kept me. And she said, and now I feel like I'm closer to God than I was before. And she says, I feel like my faith is stronger than it was before.
Wow.
And, I couldn't talk about it without crying. I couldn't translate those words without crying. And had been praying about the opportunity to tell her what her faith had meant to me. And so throughout the trip, I knew that conversation was going to happen. I had hoped that it would be a private conversation. But here we are with 10 people in the room, and I have the chance to turn back to her and say, Madam Felician, I was young in my faith when I came to Haiti. And when I saw what happened, it was hard for me to believe that God was good. And I almost lost my faith. But I got to watch you, and I got to watch your daughter, and I got to see how you guys kept your faith. And that gave me a stronger faith than I've had. And I even told her, now I'm a pastor, and I get to work in a church where I get to share that, and that's because of you, and that's because of the way that you shared your faith. And it's just a beautiful moment for me to get to go back and say to this woman who's like a mom, man, thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing the story of healing and redemption.
Thanks, man. That's
an awesome story, and I know it'll impact our church. It impacts me to hear it, and it's a God thing. God is us all over that. And anyway, that needed to be captured, so I'm glad you shared it.